Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for cash tags. For that, let's bring in our next guest. That's going to be Landon Swan, co-founder of Likefolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right. Apple pulling back here a little bit today. And, tech's trying to turn around, but the stock's off about 16% from those all-time highs. They're not releasing the Siri update as far as AI. That's what people have been waiting for. Maybe that's why we're down here today, Landon. But what kind of data are you guys seeing in Apple? Is it still supportive?
Yeah, I think everybody's kind of wanting to see what they do with that. I mean, the Apple Intelligence, that release was big for the iPhone 16. They broke a record for the most phone upgrades in a quarter, even though phone sales were down almost 1%. But they had the most upgrades. I think a lot of people are getting in on that. They like to have that AI element. So that'll be interesting when that comes out. My guess is, release it with the next iPhone. Last quarter, the revenue was up 4%. Services were up 14%. iPad 15, Mac 15. I mean, everything's kind of moving in the right direction. Even if the iPhone sales were a little bit slower, at least I think people are kind of on the sidelines waiting to see what the next big thing is. Of course, it's that rollout. So, we saw a big spike in Apple Intelligence interest with that release, and that's, I think, why they had so many upgrades. It's definitely pulled back significantly, but with that Siri update coming sometime soon, hopefully, I think that will be a lot of renewed interest. They've got the M3 chip, M3 Ultra chip powering a lot of things. And so, they're upgrading their technology, and it's not as, dramatic, I think, as those releases used to be. People got very excited, and I think they're kind of, ran out of upgrades until now with the AI. So this should be very interesting. We do know that when we look at web visits, we're up about 8% on a year-over-year basis. Obviously, we love to see that. And, if you look at the stock chart, I mean, when has 220 been a bad time to buy? So this stock is pulled back. This has traditionally been, like I said, a pretty strong place to buy the stock at. And, if you follow Likefolio, you know that this is one of our core conviction companies. I mean, this is one that we believe in a multi-year hold for. They're just, best in breed, and they're dominating. So, the data that we've got is that people are really waiting. They're anticipating. There's a lot of buzz around that release. But, until that happens, I think we just kind of have to push pause and wait. But overall, they're doing great things. They've got 2.3 billion devices out there, $26 billion in services revenue, which is up 14% year over year. So, they're just a cash generating machine, and they've got so many loyal customers in their ecosystem that when they do come out with the next big thing, probably, I guess, now in September, I think a lot of people are going to flock to it, especially if it's as impressive as AI has been overall. I mean, if you asked me 2 years ago what I thought about AI, I was, not very impressed. It was just cool if statements. And a year ago, it could write some poems and write, songs and stuff. But now the stuff that AI can do, I can see how integrating this directly into the iPhone is going to be incredible. It's going to blow people away. So I think once that happens, we're going to see a surge in iPhone sales and, of course, Apple revenue.
Landon, we've always talked about Apple being an iPhone company with some other things, right? But now, Landon, are we undervaluing this services segment, which keeps growing? The margins keep growing and expanding. I read an article today. It's going to be a $2 trillion business just from services. Is there a day that you see in the future, Landon, where services overtakes the iPhone in terms of its importance with Apple and the overall performance of the company? Because it's amazing how this part that started out very small has grown into this massive margin-generating part of this company.
Yeah, well, you guys know our business. We're in services, and so the margins in services are really attractive, very, very attractive. It's all digital. You don't have to make anything. You're not producing hardware. And the way I like to think about Apple is that the iPhone is kind of like the gateway drug to all of the iOS services that you can get into. And once you have the iPhone, and then your kid gets the iPad, you realize how well they work together, and you can get the watch, and then you get the Mac, and it's just once you're in, then it makes a lot of sense to subscribe to all of the different things that they have. It makes your life easier. And so, yes, I do think that services are going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to be a bigger and bigger, more important part of this company. But the key is always going to be getting people into the ecosystem, and that's the iPhone's job. That's the iPad's job. If those two things are continuing to improve, stay ahead or with the competition, and continue to draw people in, then the services are going to benefit from that. I don't think that the services are pulling people in, but the services are what are going to take advantage of this huge ecosystem of users who are brought in by those devices.
Landon, to me, as they push off more of their AI capabilities, it just reminds me that it's more of a hardware company. Maybe they should have paired with Grok or somebody else that's really good at this intelligence thing at this point as they pour more money into it. But when you look at, the valuations, it's overvalued compared to historicals. Kevin mentioned, improving margins a little bit, but sales, iPhone pulled back here a little bit. Is there, things in your data that kind of signal that, hey, this is maybe overvalued and everybody's been giving it a free pass, but maybe the valuation should start to come down? And do you guys see any data waning in any parts of their business?
Not really. No, I mean, customer happiness is high. It's always been pretty high. I think that there's maybe a little... It's a fine line between frustration and anticipation, right, with new releases. So that, it's tough to read consumer sentiment there. But generally speaking, people are very happy with these products and the ecosystem overall. And the valuation is high. It's pricey. But, when has this company not delivered, huge value to the investors? And they continue to grow. They have such a huge pool of users who are extremely committed to this brand, and the power of that is you can release something new, either hardware, software, services, what have you, and you instantly have an audience that's willing to buy into that. And if you're talking about services, then you're getting into very high margin products that are going to deliver enormous ROI to the company on the top and bottom line. So yes, I know that the valuation's high, but again, they just have such a stranglehold on this market, especially in the United States, where they can just release something and people throw their credit cards at it. So, I'm pretty bullish on it. Obviously, this is one of our core conviction companies, like I said, and I think that this is going to be one of those times you look back, maybe say in September, when the next phone comes out and they've got the AI fully integrated, it blows people away, and you think, man, this thing was $220 back then. I can't believe I didn't buy it. So love it here, and love the company overall. The data is mildly bullish, but with the stock prices down as much as it is, I think that you can say that we're bullish here, value-wise.
Yeah, at lows that we haven't seen since September. But don't use the term super cycle, because that has not happened. And if I hear it one more year in September, my head's going to pop off. All right, great stuff. Great data as always, Landon. Appreciate it.